Data capture is important, building on what I said before, because it gives me a clear picture against my KPIs. So if I've got my strategy and I've got my key KPIs, for example, KPI number 3 for me is sustainability of the organization. So a great example of that would be that we've just sent out a survey to previous donors. I need to know what data do I have there? How often have those people given? What's their average donation, and so forth. So when we then surveyed them, and then we then got a response back, a 68% increase in our potential bequest pipeline.
Wow.
That's amazing, right? It's
That's
been
unreal.
incredibly successful. So why was it successful? Because it was targeted because of data. We didn't, instead of going to 23,000 emails, we actually just sent a personal letter, email communication to the people who are relevant, people who had given before. If you've given once, you're more likely to give more. And then you're also likely, and for those bigger donors, you're more likely to be a potential bequester in the future. And so the conversation, so because of the data and what we were looking at, it was then targeted and appropriate for that person to receive. It also then allowed us to measure that campaign. As they came in, we tracked that data. And so, that's right. How many now of that 68% increase are now in the interested, intended, or confirmed? We had like at least 15, 18 confirmed. Well, that's a huge confidence for our organisation to know that is in the pipeline. It might not be realised for 10 to 15 years, but that is a lot of security. So that's a great example. Another example is on me demonstrating my message. Our KPI number 2 is all about making sure that we make a difference for people that we serve. If we're an eye health charity and we are trying to find the people who are undiagnosed and then also support the people who are diagnosed, it's a very detect and defeat strategy. Well, then those who we are supporting, how are we supporting and what value do we have? A bit like Patricia was saying before, otherwise you could be just busy. We could be on the phone all day talking to people, but how do we measure our impact? And very much I look at that. So I want to know, do we improve people's mental health because they had that call? Do they take their medication more often? Do they go to their appointments more regularly? Do they understand? Do they have a greater knowledge about their disease state? So much so that I would have confidence that I would do a mass study with people out in the community who weren't connected to our organisation, and there would be a difference. There should be a difference. Otherwise, why bother? So you have to actually be, as a CEO, you have to be in that position that you go, do I trust the value that I give? And am I happy to demonstrate that with data? Because that's what should lead your annual reports, that you have a certain amount of, evidence of percentage who are thrilled with their service, a percentage who are now taking their medications. If I can get people with glaucoma, for example, to be 80% adherent to their medication when the national average is 50, well, that's a phenomenal value, which will then spring onto all those other things, such as getting grants, getting other sponsorship, corporate sponsorship, because we demonstrate our value.
Yes, exactly. And I think, so my next question to you, Annie, was going to be, how do you use that data to communicate an empowering story? But you've really already telling us, like it's amazing. It's communicating that value and people connecting with it.
Yeah, well, it's using that, and then probably the extension of the survey with the donors to become bequesters. Exactly that. Then we then put back to what do we do with those people who responded to that survey? We then send them a communication pack, a bequest pack, which is really personal and tailored to them. And then we also then capture, then we swing into another side of it. So that's service delivery, but then on our database, when do we phone those people? When do we, I want to phone them, I've got, at the moment, we phone them on their birthday. Happy birthday to you, to the bequesters. At Christmas, I'm just going to give you a little trinket to put on your tree as a thank you. You don't always communicate with them just to ask for money, for example. Absolutely. You're building relationships. So that data helps, if I pick any aspect of my business, every single campaign, I'm using the data to drive the, the quality improvements of the campaign and to get visibility on how it met my KPIs. But I'm also, at the end of the day, linking everything to adding value that I can communicate back really clearly, on just massive stats, stats that are meaningful. Most people glaze over, you give them an Excel or a P&L or anything. just like blah, right? And fair enough, because I want to know that, you know, this mum who had a child diagnosed with this disease had this service and she felt this percent thrilled of the service, and that she recommended it to this, and she went back and she told her doctor, because we're all about saving sight and improving people's quality of life. The story around the data is actually what makes you gold as a business, right? It is what other people are attracted to. It's what people will donate towards. It's where they actually, not just that you're prettier and more popular, you actually seriously will add more value, because when you get more support and engagement in your business, whatever it is, you'll be able to then serve more. And that's what we're all about, you know, in this industry, is actually we're heart driven for purpose.
Yeah.
And so we are able to do more. So I have no problem with, you know, I want to use that data to get as much money as I can, to get as much value as I can, because then I can then give back to the people that we serve.